Hello everybody, welcome to Star Racer's course editor tutorial, and this is going to be a simple tutorial on how to just kind of get past and start building the track and kind of shaping your track and whatnot, because for some people it can be kind of challenging at first. So I want to kind of help players improve their track designs, as well as help people who just kind of want to learn how to use it and not be so intimidated. Something I would recommend is to use a keyboard and mouse for the editor if possible. If you don't and you have a controller, by all means, but my controller preference is the keyboard and mouse, just because I feel like I'm allowed to get stuff done a lot quicker and it's just much easier for me to do. But good news for those who are on a controller, going into the menus and going over here to this previous option, there is a cursor speed here. You can put it all the way down to 0.5 or 0.25 and all the way up to 2 times the speed. So it's just all up to you and what you want to use for that. But we are going to be kind of going over how to make a track briefly and kind of how to, you know, make your tracks look pretty good. Now, again, there is no right or wrong way to do tracks. If you want them to be jagged and, kind of uh, more jaggedy than smooth, that's totally an option. There is no preference and there is no right way to do it. But this is just a way to kind of help make a smoother track, as well as also kind of just allow the newer people who are trying to get used to the editor to kind of get used to it and just understand what to do. So right away, when you get placed into the editor, you are basically going to be given the point of placing points down. So already this option would be selected right when you get into the editor. So you can just start putting down points right away. And usually what I like to do first upon making my track is I like to just start by lining myself up. You can if you don't have to, but I like to line myself up with the squares and just kind of start placing points. And just kind of start with just making a basic shape to your track. And once you have made a basic shape for your track, like so, then you can start uh, going ahead and add more detail to it. Or what I like to do is I like to first go to the width option. And in the with the width option, I like to drag and highlight all of the points and increase this to about 12.5. This is a very good average, and a lot of tracks in the base game use this course size. Now, you can adjust this for certain sections, make them wider, make them smaller. This is all preference, but I would just say as a start and to make it just feel much more open and not so cramped, change the width right away at the beginning to 12.5 or somewhere near that area, because it's going to make your tracks feel a lot better and feel like you have a lot more room to work with. After that, we're going to go right back to our points. And if you do end up placing a point down, remember you can just undo or hit the escape key if you're on keyboard and mouse. Not sure what it is on a controller, but you can undo and undo options. So there's another rule that I'd like to point out about placing points. This is simply about the starting line and the previous point behind the starting line. These 2 points are very important, and I would highly recommend not messing with these a lot. This one you can, but this one is kind of like a no-go, because what happens when you select this point, as you can see, it is blue. And if I try to place, like, let's say I want to put a point in between these two, it'll end up moving the starting line to wherever you place. So why I usually say that this is kind of a no-no is just better to just leave it where it's at. And you can always just take the positioning tool, like so, and just kind of move things like this and kind of adjust them like so till you get something that you like better. Now, something that I like to do after I've done these two things, once I've adjusted my starting line, which you can do that later, but once I've adjusted my width and got my basic shape down, what I like to do next is go back to the points thing. And once again, I'm just going to click escape because there is a bit of a bug right now with, I don't know if it's a bug or maybe it's just a UI thing that maybe it double clicks or something, but it usually places a point down each time I do that. So anyways, continuing past that, what I like to do now is just kind of start adding in more points to kind of get my shape more. So I know I'm going to need at least 2 points for a turn. Technically, it's recommended to use about 4. And placing points, you always want to place your points from the previous point that you selected. So if if my previous point selected is this one, you want to put it somewhere in between the point that's selected and the point next to it. You can always go ahead and adjust this later. But for now, I'm going to just try to get my basic shape. You can zoom in to kind of place in more points. So now that I'm going to kind of start just giving myself a proper shape to work with here by just adding in more points, because you are going to be using a lot more points than what we currently have right now. You can deal with this, but it's definitely recommended to use more points than just this to make it look much cleaner and much sharper and feel much more smooth. And you know what? I think over here, I'm going to go ahead and create a turn like so. I'm going to do something like that. Yeah. So this is kind of like a basic shape that I've got going on for my track. It's not the prettiest of tracks, but it's a basic start track here. So now once you've got all of your points placed down, your rough draft of just kind of the outline design of the way you want your track to go, and then you've added in your extra points near each other. That way you have points to play with. You can always delete these, but I like to do these all at once just because it kind of helps me allow to shape the track early on and get my main track set up the way I want it to. So what I like to do at this point is just start by going from here, all the way from the starting line, all the way around, and just kind of shape things up as you go. And you can kind of move things how you would like by using the positioning tool in the points category. You go in here and position, and so I'm going to start by modifying this turn. So the way I like to go about turns on my tracks is I like to use this 2-point method rule. It kind of just helps make the turn feel more proper and smoother when taking it. Again, you can have it however you like, but in my case, I find that the points being like 2 points on the turn, 2 on the outside, 2 on the inside, makes for a better turn. And something to also mention is I like using the X, Y, and Z to kind of keep track of where my points are placed along the lines. And of course, it will always change if you're moving the camera like this or like this. So you just got to kind of move the points and see which numbers move if you ever lose track, whether it's the Z, Y, or the X. And that is kind of a way to kind of help yourself figure out where the points are and how they're moving. But I like to keep them for like my straight tracks and stuff like that, I like to keep them on the same levels, because if you don't, you'll end up kind of having this weird bumps in your roads like so, and it doesn't look very smooth. So I kind of like to get them on the same playing field for my straight sections. Now here comes some turns, so I think I'm going to make this turn kind of come more in like so. Making this a straight portion on the track, I'm kind of making it curved. And once again, just kind of line up everything along the line. And if you ever get into a position where you end up running out of points, just go in, select the place point option, and just start adding in some extra points to play around with. Because sometimes you don't ever get enough, and which is why I say to place them down once you've gotten your shape and then for your rough idea. You then want to start placing down points because you're going to be using a lot of points, but you can always add in extra points to kind of help with the situation and to allow yourself to create better turns and different things like that. So right now I'm just kind of adding in some so I can start playing around with an idea. Again, the way I recommend with turns is just kind of playing around, and this is kind of like the rule I like to go with, is just 2 points, very simple, very easy. If you want to learn about more other turns, I have another tutorial, a little bit outdated, but it kind of goes over how to make different turns using the points, like 90-degree turns and wider circular turns. things, turns like that. So I do, if you want to learn more about different types of turns, you can go ahead and watch that video. But for this video, I am doing like basic turns because honestly, this looks like a pretty basic and kind of fun track. So even just using the basic turns, they work very well in this case. So yeah, I think I like the way this is. I'm just gonna do a little bit of adjusting. You know what? I think I might actually extend this section over here up higher. And same with this, kind of move this over like so. And position this the way I need it. So something like this looks much better. And again, you can adjust however you want. Let's say if it just feels too small, you can always just hold and drag to extend it out more, which is really nice. And there we go. Now we have a basic track here. So I hope this helped kind of get your ideas on how to kind of make a track. It's very simple, and again, to kind of follow the steps, first draw out your outline, then put in some extra points to kind of help make more in-depth shapes. Then once you've done that, finalize it by just moving the points around and creating much more straighter sections for your straight portions, as well as your 4 points for your turns, like in this case right here. I've got 4 points, and again, 4 points. You can use the 2-point method and just again have 2 points, one on each side of the 2 points in the middle, to kind of help make that turn much better. But yeah, that's it for this first part 1 of this basic track. And now, if you want to go ahead and test it, all you have to do, go into this wheel again with the points section, click checkpoints, and you need to place down at least 2 checkpoints. So what I'm going to do is place checkpoint here, place a checkpoint here, maybe one over here, and maybe one last one over there for now. And we will adjust this as is, and then you can go ahead and test your track, get a nice feel for it. The default, for me at least, has been set to Pro. This might change for you for the test speed. You just kind of have to play around with it. And yeah, drive around your track, test it out, see if you like the way it kind of feels at first. It's going to be pretty basic, but now that you've done this, you can start working on many other steps of adding in objects and different things like that. And yeah, this is a very huge portion to making a track. And as long as you can do this with this hopefully pretty quick method for you, definitely I think this will help you out in making your tracks. And once you've done this, you can pretty much set your objects and things like that and make things much easier. So that's going to be it for this little tutorial. I hope it helps, and in the next tutorial we're going to be kind of putting in objects to kind of help make this basic track look a little bit more cooler with different things like terrains and hazards and different objects. So stay tuned for that, and I will see you in the next tutorial.